I was denied the chance to chase my music dream by my own family. Years later, they begged me for $50,000, but they never imagining my quiet, calculated revenge would take everything they controlled in the end.
I'm Jake, 30 years old. I work as a project manager for a mid-sized construction company in Denver, making about $95,000 a year. Not rich, but comfortable. I own a decent 3-bedroom house in a good neighborhood that I bought 3 years ago for $385,000. I worked my ass off to get where I am. I started as a laborer right out of high school, went to community college at night, and worked up through the ranks. No handouts, just pure grind. I'm not some Chad who gets women easily. I'm probably a 6 out of 10 on a good day, 5'9" in average build, thinning hair that I keep buzzed short. But I'm stable, reliable, and apparently that makes me catnip for a certain type of woman. Spoiler alert, that type is not the kind you want to marry. That's where Ashley comes in. I met her about 2.5 years ago at my buddy's barbecue. She was 24, working part-time at some overpriced boutique in Cherry Creek, making maybe $25,000 a year if she was lucky. But damn, this girl was a solid 9 out of 10. Blonde hair, green eyes, 5'6" with curves in all the right places. The kind of woman who could stop traffic just by walking down the street. She was living with 3 roommates in a cramped apartment in a sketchy part of town, constantly complaining about money. Her car was a beat-up 2009 Honda Civic that broke down every other week. She dressed nice when we went out, but I could tell she was stretching every dollar to maintain her image. Being the nice guy that I was, I started helping out here and there. Dinner dates turned into me always picking up the check. Her car broke down? I'd Uber over and give her rides. Her roommates were too loud for her to sleep. She started spending more nights at my place. What started as occasional sleepovers turned into her basically living at my house within about 6 months. She kept clothes in my closet. Her makeup covered my bathroom counter. And somehow I was buying groceries for 2 people, even though she wasn't contributing shit to the household. But I was pussy-whipped and didn't care. Ashley knew exactly how to play me. She'd walk around in tiny shorts and tank tops, give me random blowjobs when I got home from work, cook dinner occasionally using ingredients I bought, and make me feel like I was dating a model. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. The first major red flag should have been when she started talking about wanting to get her master's degree in marketing. "Jake, I'm never going to make real money working retail," she'd say while painting her nails with $50 polish. "I need to elevate myself, but grad school is so expensive." DePaul University's MBA program cost $42,000 for the full degree. Ashley claimed she'd looked into financial aid but didn't qualify for much because her parents made too much money. Even though they weren't helping her with shit, she'd sigh dramatically and talk about how she'd probably be stuck in retail forever because she couldn't afford to better herself. Like a fucking idiot, I offered to pay for it. "Really, Jake? Are you serious? That's amazing. You'd really do that for me?" She jumped on me right there on the couch, and we had some of the best sex of my life. I was thinking with my dick instead of my brain, convinced I was investing in our future together. She'd get her degree, land some high-paying marketing job, and we'd be this power couple living the American dream. What a fool I was. Once Ashley started the MBA program, things got even more expensive. She needed a new laptop for school, $1,800, professional clothes for presentations, a $3,200 shopping spree, and a car that wouldn't embarrass her in the student parking lot. I co-signed for a lease on a 2022 Honda CR-5 because her old Civic wasn't professional enough. She cut back her retail hours to focus on school, which meant her already tiny income basically disappeared. Suddenly, I was covering everything. Rent. She still wasn't on my mortgage, utilities, groceries, her car payment, insurance, gas, eating out, entertainment, and of course the monthly tuition payments. My monthly expenses went from about $3,200 to over $6,100. I was still saving money, but my emergency fund stopped growing. Ashley would thank me with sex and affection, so I figured it was temporary. Once she graduated and got a good job, she'd start contributing more. The entitlement started creeping in slowly. She'd complain if I bought the cheap groceries instead of the organic shit she preferred. She wanted to eat out more often because she was too stressed from school to cook. Her beauty routine became insane. $200 monthly for lash extensions, $150 for nails, $300 for hair appointments every 6 weeks, $400 monthly on skincare products. "Jake, I need to look professional for networking events," she'd say when I questioned the expenses. "This is an investment in our future." Our future. I was paying for it, but apparently it was ours. She also completely redecorated my living room without asking. I came home one day to find $4,200 worth of new furniture, artwork, and decorative shit that looked like it came straight from a basic bitch Pinterest board. When I asked what happened to discussing major purchases, she said I was being controlling and that the house needed a woman's touch. The sex started declining around month 8 of her program. She was always too tired or too stressed or had too much homework. Our Friday night date nights turned into her studying while I watched Netflix alone. She'd come to bed after I was already asleep and be gone before I woke up for work. I chalked it up to the stress of graduate school. Big mistake. About 10 months into her program, Ashley started mentioning this guy from her strategic marketing class named Liam. At first, it was innocent enough. Liam thinks we should approach the project this way, or Liam knows someone who works at a consulting firm. But then the mentions became more frequent and more detailed. Liam drove a BMW M3. Liam owned his own digital marketing consultancy. Liam had clients like Pepsi and Nike. Liam was taking the MBA program to expand his network and learn corporate strategy because he was planning to scale his business nationally. She'd come home from study groups at 11 p.m., talking about how brilliant Liam was, how he had all these insights about entrepreneurship and business development. She started dressing up more for school, wearing outfits that seemed way too sexy for classroom presentations. Our conversations became all about Liam's latest business advice or some story about his success. Meanwhile, I'm working 50-hour weeks managing construction projects, dealing with contractors and city permits and budget overruns so this trust fund kid can fund my girlfriend's lifestyle while she daydreams about some other dude. The final red flag was when Ashley started going to networking events multiple times a week. These were always last-minute invitations where Liam had extra tickets to some business mixer or industry conference. She'd get dressed up like she was going to a nightclub and come home past midnight with stories about all the important people she met. When I suggested coming along to one of these events, she said they were student-only or invitation-only or that it would be awkward to bring a boyfriend. But she never had a problem bringing up how Liam knew all the right people and was introducing her to potential employers. I started feeling like a walking ATM. Ashley would kiss me goodbye in the morning, spend all day at school with Liam, come home and talk about Liam, then claim she was too tired for sex because of all the networking she'd been doing. But I convinced myself I was being paranoid. She was just ambitious and focused on her career. Liam was helping her make connections. I was being insecure and controlling. Fuck, I was naive. March 15th. I'll never forget that date, because it's when my entire world got flipped upside down. I was working from home that day, dealing with some permitting issues for a commercial project. Ashley had a late class that finished around 2 p.m., so I expected her home by 3. When she walked in at 2:30, she had this look on her face, nervous but determined, like she'd been practicing a speech in the car. "Jake, we need to talk," she said, standing in the doorway instead of coming over to kiss me hello like she usually did. My stomach dropped. Every guy knows that phrase means your life is about to get destroyed. "I'm in love with Liam," she said, no emotion in her voice. "We've been together for 4 months. I'm moving in with him this weekend." 4 months. 4 fucking months she'd been cheating on me while I paid for every aspect of her life. While I was busting my ass at work to fund her princess lifestyle, she was getting fucked by some other guy and planning her exit strategy. The numbers hit me like a truck. 4 months meant it started right around Thanksgiving. All those study groups and networking events were just cover for her affair. She'd been looking me in the eye every morning, kissing me goodbye, and going to spend the day with her boyfriend. "I see," I managed to say, trying to keep my voice steady. My heart was pounding, but I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break down. "I already packed most of my stuff," she continued, gesturing toward 2 suitcases by the door. I recognized them as the matching Louis Vuitton set I'd bought her for Christmas. $3,400 that I'd put on my credit card, because she deserves something special. "Liam's successful, Jake. Really successful. He's taking me to Aspen this weekend to meet some of his business partners. He says I have real potential, and he wants to help me network with the right people." The audacity was breathtaking. She was essentially telling me that I wasn't good enough to help her career while standing in the house I owned, wearing clothes I bought, after spending 2 years funding her dreams. When did it start? The truth this time. She had the decency to look slightly embarrassed, right after Thanksgiving. "But Jake, I didn't plan for this to happen. Liam and I we connect on a different level. He understands my ambitions. He's going places, and he wants to take me with him. Going places. Like my house wasn't good enough, like my stable career and financial support weren't taking her anywhere. I understand, I said. I hope you two are very happy together. She looked surprised, like she expected me to beg or cry or fight for her, maybe throw a tantrum and make her feel important. But I was already thinking ahead. She'd made her choice. Time to deal with the consequences. That's it? She asked. You're not even going to fight for us? What's to fight for? You've been cheating on me for 4 months. You're in love with someone else. You're moving out. Seems like you've made all the decisions already. Jake, I thought you'd be more upset. I'm processing right now. I'm just trying to understand the timeline. She shifted uncomfortably. Liam will be here around 6 to help me move the rest of my stuff. That's fine. I'll make sure to be out of the way. What I didn't tell her was that I'd be using those few hours very productively. After Ashley left to grab lunch, probably with Liam, I sat down and started thinking strategically instead of emotionally. She'd blindsided me, but that didn't mean I had to just take it lying down. First, I made a list of everything I was paying for. Her MBA tuition, $42,000 total, about $28,000 already paid. Her car lease, $420 per month. Her car insurance, $180 per month. Her phone bill, $85 per month. Her health insurance through my employer, $240 a month. Groceries, utilities, and household expenses, approximately $800 per month. Her credit card, she was an authorized user, approximately $1,200 per month average. Miscellaneous expenses like dining out, entertainment. Her beauty routine, approximately $1,000 per month. I was essentially funding a $4,000 a month lifestyle for someone who just told me she'd been cheating on me for a third of our relationship. But here's the thing. I'm not an emotional guy. I'm a project manager. When there's a problem, you assess the situation, make a plan, and execute it efficiently. Emotions can come later. Ashley thought she was trading up from a stable guy making $95,000 to some hotshot entrepreneur with major clients. She was betting that Liam's success would replace my financial support. That was a risky bet, and I was about to make sure it didn't pay off. My first call was to D. Paul's financial aid office. Hi, this is Jake Morrison. I need to speak to someone about Ashley Rodriguez's tuition payment plan. After being transferred twice, I got the financial aid director on the line. I explained calmly that Ashley and I were no longer together, that I was the third-party guarantor on all payment plans, and that I needed to withdraw from any future obligations immediately. I'll honor the current semester since it ends in 6 weeks, but I'm formally withdrawing from summer and fall semester payments, I said. Please send me written confirmation. They needed 48 hours to process the paperwork, but confirmed that as the guarantor, I had every right to withdraw. No legal obligation to continue paying once the current term ended. Next, I called my credit card companies. Ashley was an authorized user on my American Express and Chase cards, the ones she used for her shopping sprees and beauty appointments. I removed her from both accounts immediately. Then I called my car insurance company and removed her from my policy. She was driving the CR5 that I co-signed for, but if she wasn't living here anymore, she needed her own insurance. I also called my cell phone provider and removed her line from my family plan. If she wanted to stay in touch with Liam, she could get her own phone bill. Then I changed every password she might know. Netflix, Amazon Prime, Spotify, Hulu. Even the Wi-Fi password. If she wanted entertainment at Liam's place, they could pay for their own subscriptions. But I wasn't done. Ashley had left behind about half her wardrobe, all the expensive shit I bought her over the past 2 years. Designer jeans, Lululemon workout clothes, the $600 boots she absolutely needed for winter, countless tops and dresses from Nordstrom and Anthropologie. I loaded everything into garbage bags and drove to the nearest Goodwill, donated every single item, and made sure to get receipts for the tax write-off. If she wanted her clothes back, she could go thrift shopping. The final touch was having a locksmith come change all the locks. It cost me $240, but it was worth every penny for the peace of mind. By 5:30 p.m., Ashley's new reality was locked and loaded. Ashley came back around 5:45 with Liam in tow. I watched from my bedroom window as they pulled up in a beat-up 2018 BMW 328i with a dented bumper and mismatched rims, not exactly the M3 she'd been bragging about. Liam looked like exactly what you'd expect, tall, skinny man bun, wearing a suit that probably cost more than he could afford. The kind of guy who says, "Let's circle back on that," in casual conversation and thinks he's sophisticated for drinking craft beer. They loaded her suitcases into his car, along with a few boxes of random stuff. I noticed Ashley trying her key in the front door, then looking confused when it didn't work. She knocked and I went downstairs to let them in. "Hey, Jake, this is Liam," she said awkwardly. Liam stepped forward with his hand out. "Nice to meet you, man. Ashley's told me a lot about you." I bet she had. I shook his hand without saying anything. "Jake, my key doesn't work," Ashley said. "I changed the locks?" "Why would you do that?" "You don't live here anymore." She looked hurt, like this was somehow unexpected. "I just need to grab a few more things from upstairs." "What things?" "My clothes, my makeup, some jewelry." "Already donated the clothes." "Your makeup is in a box by the door." "What jewelry?" "My earrings, the necklace you bought me for my birthday. My rings, those were gifts. They're yours." I went upstairs and came back with a small jewelry box. "Here." She opened it and started looking confused. "Where's the Cartier bracelet and the Tiffany necklace?" "Which Cartier bracelet?" "The one you bought me for Valentine's Day. It cost like $1,500. "Oh, that one." I returned it. Her face went white. "You can't return jewelry after 2 months." "You can if you keep the receipt and the store has a good relationship with you as a customer. Turns out they're very understanding when you explain that your girlfriend was cheating on you." Liam was starting to look uncomfortable. "Maybe we should just go, Ash." "No, this is ridiculous, Jake. You can't just take back gifts. Watch me. Also, you might want to check your credit cards and your phone, and probably Netflix when you get to Liam's place." The realization was starting to hit her. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that as of today, you're financially independent. Congratulations." She turned to Liam. "This is crazy, right? He can't just cut me off like this." Liam was studying his shoes. "Let's just go, Ashley. We'll figure it out." They left with Ashley shooting me death glares. I went inside, ordered pizza, and had the most peaceful evening I'd had in months. Thursday morning, my phone started ringing at 7 a.m. Ashley calling frantically. "Jake, I just tried to use my credit card for coffee, and it was declined." "That's because you're not an authorized user anymore. You can't do that." "I need that card for what?" "You have a job. You have Liam. Figure it out." "My job pays shit and you know it. I have expenses. Not my problem." The calls kept coming. Her phone had been shut off by noon. Apparently she'd never paid attention to when the bill was due. She called from Liam's phone, from random numbers, even had the nerve to call my office. Friday afternoon she showed up at my door looking frantic. I could see Liam's car in the driveway, but he stayed in the driver's seat like a coward. "Jake, please, we need to talk." "We are talking." "I got a notice from DePaul about summer tuition. They said you withdrew from the payment plan." "That's correct." "You can't do that. I'm halfway through the program." "Actually, I can do that, and I did." "This is fucking insane. You're destroying my future over a relationship." "No. You destroyed your future when you chose to cheat on me with Liam. I'm just not paying for it anymore." "Liam and I will figure out the tuition, but I need my credit cards back. I have bills." "What bills?" "You don't pay rent. You don't pay utilities. Your phone is on Liam's plan now, right?" She looked trapped. "I have expenses. Personal stuff." "Like what?" "My lashes, my nails, my hair appointments. I can't just stop taking care of myself." The entitlement was breathtaking. She was worried about her beauty routine while her education was about to get flushed down the toilet. "Ashley, let me explain something to you. I was paying for those things because you were my girlfriend. You're not my girlfriend anymore. You're Liam's girlfriend, so Liam can pay for your lashes. He doesn't understand how expensive it is to be a woman. Sounds like a conversation you should have with him." She started crying, real tears, not the fake manipulative kind. "Jake, please. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Liam isn't... He's not what I thought he was. Now we were getting somewhere interesting." "How so?" "He said he owned a consulting business with major clients. But Jake, he rents a studio apartment in Capitol Hill with a roommate. A fucking roommate. He drives his mom's old BMW and works for some tiny startup making maybe $40,000 a year. He lied about everything." The irony was perfect. She'd left me, a guy with a stable career, his own house, and enough money to fund her lifestyle, for some wannabe entrepreneur who was making less than she did at the boutique. That sounds like a Liam problem. I can't stay at his place anymore. His roommate is some weird gamer guy who walks around in his underwear. There's no privacy, no space for my stuff. It's disgusting. "Where are you staying?" "In my car." I almost felt bad for her. Almost. "Ashley, you made your choice. You spent 4 months planning your exit strategy, cheating on me while I paid for your entire life. You chose Liam over stability. You chose excitement over loyalty. You chose to blow up a good relationship for some fantasy that turned out to be shit. Those are your choices, and these are your consequences. Please, Jake, I'll do anything except be faithful, apparently. She left crying. Liam never even got out of the car. Over the weekend, Ashley's entire family started calling me, her mom, her sister, her aunt, even her dad, who I'd met exactly twice in 2 years. Jake, you can't abandon Ashley like this, her mom said when she called Saturday morning. She made a mistake, but she's learned her lesson. Mrs. Rodriguez, she didn't make a mistake. She made a deliberate choice to cheat on me for 4 months while I paid for her education and lifestyle. She's our baby girl. She's confused and scared. She's 24 years old, not a baby. And if she's confused, maybe she should have thought about that before she decided to fuck around on the guy paying her bills. You don't have to be crude, and you don't have to call me demanding that I financially support your daughter's infidelity. Her sister Maria was even worse. She called Sunday evening with a full guilt trip prepared. Jake, Ashley really loves you. She was just confused. Liam manipulated her into thinking he was successful. She's the victim here. A 24-year-old woman got manipulated into a 4-month affair? That's your defense? She was vulnerable. She's never had a real relationship before you. Well, now she's learning what happens when you destroy a real relationship for fake promises. You're being cruel. She's sleeping in her car. She chose Liam. She can sleep in his car. The best call came from her dad on Monday. He tried to pull some old-school macho shit. Son, you need to man up and take care of Ashley. That's what real men do. They protect their women. Sir, with respect, real men don't pay for other dudes' girlfriends. Maybe if you taught your daughter about loyalty instead of entitlement, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Don't you dare lecture me about my parenting. Then don't lecture me about my responsibilities to a cheating ex. He hung up on me. Meanwhile, Ashley was waging a social media war. She posted a long Facebook rant about how I was vindictive and controlling for cutting off her credit cards and tuition payments. She painted herself as the victim of an emotionally abusive relationship where I used money to control her. The post got a lot of sympathy at first, especially from her girlfriends who didn't know the full story. But then some of our mutual friends started asking questions in the comments. Wait, didn't you cheat on him? My buddy Chris commented. It's complicated, Ashley replied. How is cheating complicated? My coworker Sarah asked. Ashley ended up deleting the post after getting roasted in the comments, but not before I screenshotted everything for my own records. Tuesday brought the legal threat. Ashley hired some bottom-feeder lawyer who sent me a demand letter claiming I had promised to pay for her entire degree and that stopping payment was breach of implied contract and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The letter was laughably unprofessional, typos, wrong legal citations, basically a template downloaded from some legal website. But it was enough to piss me off. I called my buddy Mike, who's an actual lawyer, and showed him the letter. He started laughing immediately. Jake, this is embarrassing. No court would even look at this case. You were being generous, not legally obligated. You want me to respond? Yeah, but make it brutal. Mike sent back a letter that basically told them to fuck themselves in proper legal terminology. He pointed out that I had no contractual obligation to pay for Ashley's education, that she was an adult who could make her own financial arrangements, and that any further frivolous legal threats would result in a countersuit for harassment. We never heard from that lawyer again. But Ashley wasn't done embarrassing herself. She started a GoFundMe called Help Me Finish My Education with a sob story about how her abusive ex-boyfriend had cut off her tuition to punish her for leaving him. She claimed I was wealthy and vindictive, that I was destroying her dreams out of spite. The GoFundMe was a disaster. She raised $430 total over 3 weeks, mostly small donations from people who didn't know the real story. But then people started sharing it in local Facebook groups, and our mutual friends began posting the truth in the comments. This girl cheated on her boyfriend for months while he paid for everything, one friend wrote. She's not a victim, she's a user. I know Jake personally, and he's one of the most generous, honest guys you'll ever meet, another commented. Ashley destroyed a good relationship and now wants strangers to pay for her mistakes. She ended up deleting the GoFundMe after it became a public roasting session. The $430 she raised wasn't even enough to cover 1 credit hour. Here's where the story gets really good. Remember how I mentioned I work in construction project management? Well, part of my job involves background checks on contractors and subcontractors. I have access to certain databases and professional networks for verifying licenses, insurance, financial stability, criminal history, all perfectly legal stuff that helps protect my company from liability. I decided to do some digging on Liam, just out of curiosity. What I found was fucking gold. Wannabe entrepreneur had some serious skeletons. He'd been fired from his last real job at a marketing agency for falsifying client reports and padding his timesheets. He had $31,000 in credit card debt spread across 7 different cards, student loans in default totaling $18,000. And here's the best part, an active warrant for unpaid child support. Turns out Liam had a 3-year-old daughter in Milwaukee with some girl named Jessica. He owed $12,800 in back child support and had been dodging the payments for over a year. There was also a court judgment against him for $4,200 from a former landlord for property damage and unpaid rent. But wait, it gets better. The consulting business he bragged about? It was an LLC that existed only on paper, never filed taxes, never had any reported income, no business licenses or permits. The startup he actually worked for was one of those sketchy MLM supplement companies where he was basically a door-to-door salesman trying to recruit people into his downline. The BMW registered to his mother. He was driving mommy's hand-me-down and telling people it was his. I had court documents, employment records, financial judgments, even photos of the child support warrant. This guy wasn't just broke, he was actively running from his responsibilities and lying about everything. So I did what any reasonable person would do with this information. I compiled it all into a nice, neat package and created an anonymous email account. The subject line was simple: information about your boyfriend Liam. I attached everything: the court documents, the employment termination records, the photos of his baby mama and kid from her Facebook page, the business registration showing his LLC had no activity, even the lien on the BMW showing it belonged to his mother. The email was just one line: thought you should know who you're really living with. I sent it to Ashley's Gmail on a Thursday afternoon, and then sat back to wait. Friday morning, my phone rang at 6 a.m. It was Ashley, and she was completely hysterical. Jake, please, I fucked up so bad. Please help me, please. What's wrong now? Liam, he's not who he said he was. He has a fucking kid. A kid, Jake. He never told me he had a kid, okay? And he's broke. He owes thousands in child support. He got fired from his last job for lying. His business is fake. Everything is fake. I tried to sound surprised. How did you find all this out? Someone sent me documents, court papers and employment records and pictures of his daughter. Jake, I'm living with a deadbeat dad who's been lying about everything. That sounds really tough, Ashley. It gets worse. When I confronted him about it, he admitted everything. But then he asked me to help him pay the child support. He said we were a team now and that I needed to invest in our future by helping him get caught up on his payments. The audacity of this guy was impressive. He was asking his sugar baby to help him pay for the kid he'd abandoned. What did you tell him? I told him he was fucking insane. I don't have any money. You cut off all my cards. I can't even afford to get my nails done. So what happened? He kicked me out. Said if I wasn't going to be supportive of his complicated situation, then I could find somewhere else to stay. Jake, I'm living in my fucking Honda Civic. The karma was so perfect it almost seemed scripted. I'm sorry to hear that, Ashley. Please, Jake. I know I don't deserve it, but can I please just stay on your couch for a few days? I'll pay rent. I'll do whatever you want. I'm sleeping in a parking lot behind a 7-Eleven. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. She was completely broken down, desperate, with nowhere else to turn. Time for the nuclear option. Ashley, let me make sure I understand the situation. You cheated on me for 4 months while I paid for your entire lifestyle. You left me for a guy you thought was rich and successful. You had your family harass me. You tried to sue me. You started a public fundraiser calling me abusive. And now that your fantasy boyfriend turned out to be a broke deadbeat with a secret kid, you want me to rescue you? I know. I was stupid. I was selfish. I fucked up everything. But I learned my lesson, I swear. What lesson is that? That I had it good with you. That I threw away the best thing in my life for some loser who lied to me about everything. And that I'm a terrible person who doesn't deserve your help. But I'm begging anyway because I'm desperate and I have nowhere else to go. At least she was finally being honest about what kind of person she was. Here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. You're going to post on every social media platform you have, Facebook, Instagram, whatever else, telling the complete truth about what you did to me. You're going to admit that you cheated for 4 months, that you lied to my face, that you used me for money, and that I did nothing wrong by cutting you off. You're going to apologize, publicly, and tell everyone that Liam turned out to be a fraud who has a secret kid and is thousands in debt. Jake, that's humiliating. Not as humiliating as sleeping in your car because you chose a deadbeat over a good man. If I do that, will you help me? I'll consider it. You promise? I promise I'll consider it. Ashley fucking did it. Within 2 hours, Ashley had posted identical messages on Facebook and Instagram with a long, groveling confession. I need to publicly apologize for my terrible behavior and set the record straight about Jake Morrison. For the past few months, I've been spreading lies about him being controlling and abusive, but the truth is that I'm the one who behaved horribly. Jake supported me financially for over a year, paying for my MBA tuition, my car, my living expenses, everything. He was nothing but generous and loving to me. In return, I cheated on him for 4 months with a classmate named Liam who I thought was successful and wealthy. I lied to Jake's face every single day while he was working hard to support my dreams. I planned my exit strategy while he was paying my bills. When Jake found out, he rightfully cut off all financial support, and instead of taking responsibility for my actions, I tried to paint him as the villain. The truth is that Liam lied about everything. He doesn't own a business. He's broke. He has a secret child he doesn't support, and he's thousands in debt. He used me just like I used Jake, except Jake actually had the means to support me and chose to do so out of love. I destroyed the best relationship I ever had for a fantasy that lasted less than a week once the lies came out. I am completely in the wrong here. Jake is a good man who deserves better than what I put him through. I'm sorry for lying about him publicly, and I'm sorry for taking advantage of his kindness. I'm posting this because I owe him a public apology, and because people deserve to know the truth about what really happened. The comments were absolutely brutal. Our mutual friends, her co-workers, even people I didn't know were roasting her in the replies. Finally, some honesty from you, Ashley. Jake deserves so much better. Girl, you fumbled the bag hard. A good man with his own house who pays for your school and you cheat on him? What's wrong with you? This is what happens when you're a gold digger but bad at picking gold. Jake, if you're reading this, you dodged a bullet. Don't take her back. Ashley admitting she's a cheating user. Character development, I guess. My personal favorite was from her former coworker at the boutique. We all knew you were using Jake. Glad he finally wised up. The post got over 200 comments, most of them negative. A few of her girlfriends tried to defend her with everyone makes mistakes bullshit, but they got shouted down by people who knew the real story. After she posted the confession, Ashley called me back around 8 p.m. Okay, I did it. I posted everything like you asked. People are being really mean in the comments, but I did it. Now will you help me? This was the moment I'd been building toward for weeks, the moment of perfect poetic justice. Ashley, I appreciate you finally telling the truth about what happened. It took a lot of courage to admit publicly that you're a cheating, lying user who destroyed a good relationship for a fantasy. So you'll let me stay at your place? No. Silence. What? I said I'd consider helping you if you posted the truth. I considered it. The answer is no. But I did what you asked. I humiliated myself. I told everyone the truth. You told everyone the truth because it was the right thing to do, not because I asked you to. You should have done that months ago instead of trying to destroy my reputation. Jake, please. I have nowhere to go. I'm living in my car. You made your bed with Liam. Now you get to lie in it alone. This is cruel. I apologized. I admitted I was wrong. You apologized because you're desperate and homeless, not because you actually feel bad about what you did. If Liam had turned out to be actually rich, you'd still be with him, and you'd never have admitted to anything. That's not true. Ashley, if I gave you a time machine right now and let you go back to Thanksgiving, would you choose not to cheat on me, or would you just be smarter about picking your affair partner? The long pause told me everything I needed to know. That's not fair. That's exactly what I thought. You're not sorry you cheated. You're sorry you got caught. You're not sorry you lied. You're sorry the lies didn't work out. You're not sorry you used me. You're sorry I stopped letting you use me. Jake, please. I'll do anything. I'll sign a contract saying I'll pay you back. I'll get a job and give you half my paycheck. I'll clean your house. I'll cook for you. I'll do whatever you want sexually. Please just don't leave me on the street. And there it was, the final offer. She was willing to prostitute herself to get back into my house and my wallet. Ashley, I wouldn't take you back if you were the last woman on earth. You've shown me exactly who you are, and I believe you. You're a user, a liar, and a cheat. You add nothing to my life except drama and expenses. Fine. Fuck you, Jake. You're going to regret this when I get back on my feet. You're going to see what you missed out on. I'm sure I will. Good luck with everything. I hung up and blocked her.